the Saskatchewan Roughriders. They have been around for over 100 years. In 4 of their last 6 seasons, they have had a winning record and have reached the Grey Cup in 3 of those 4 seasons, winning it in 2007. In 2009, they finished first in the Western Division, which was the first time in 33 years. Their fan base is immense and only growing in size. The franchise is 3rd in the country for sports team sales, behind only the Montreal Canadiens and the Toronto Maple Leafs. They have been known for having wild fans, and were in fact ranked the rowdiest fans of all Canada sports teams by MSN Sports in 2010. Oh yeah, and I hate them. When my brothers and I were younger, we loved the Riders. We actually used to be ticket takers on game days. Once we realized the ticket takers got into games for free, we jumped at the opportunity. And we'd actually get there super early, before we even took tickets, so that we could watch the players warm up on the field. That was pretty cool.
I was a Rider fan for a good, 19 or 20 years of my life, I guess. And lived in Regina up until a year ago. So there was a period of, 4 or 5 years in Regina not being a Rider fan?
Yeah, I was a Rider fan until I was, 23 years old or so, and then I broke up with them.
Mm-hmm.
I was born and raised in Regina, so I've lived in Regina for about 23 of my 26 years. When I was younger, I wasn't really a Rider fan. In the late 90s, early 2000s, in early high school, I was a casual Rider fan. I was interested in them. As time has gone on, I've become less and less interested in them. Primarily, my interest ended with with the Danny Barrett era ending. That's where my interest in the team ended, and then just as time has gone on, I've become less interested and less interested.
How do you think this team has performed under your tenure, now into its 7th year?
Maybe I should ask the fans that.
Well, how do you feel?
This is the first time in 20-some years they've gone to the playoffs 4 years in a row.
What made me change my views of the Riders was when they fired Roy Shivers and Danny Barrett. I thought this wasn't the right thing to do. The two of them brought a team that looked very dismal in 2000 into an actual contender in 2006. In my opinion, the Grey Cup win in 2007 was because Roy Shivers brought in all the great players the years before. But when Roy Shivers and Danny Barrett were fired, it seemed to me like not many people were giving them enough credit.
There's no other team that I know of with a fan base like ours, that it's completely ubiquitous, from young to old, male, female, it doesn't matter. If you're from Saskatchewan, you're a Rider fan, and that's all there is to it.
Okay, both things he just said are not true. First of all, I can name 7 other teams in the CFL with a similar fan base to the Riders, if you're basing it just on age and gender. Second of all, I'm pretty sure that just because you're from Saskatchewan doesn't necessarily mean you're a Rider fan. Take me, for instance. I'm from Saskatchewan and I'm not a Rider fan. So where do I fit into this mix?
It seems pretty common that politicians in Saskatchewan and I think businesses and stuff like that too will kind of use their support of the Rough Riders to sort of signify that they are Saskatchewan people. They understand what Saskatchewan is all about, and they're one of us. They're a local guy, and you can trust them because they cheer for the Rough Riders.
And if you aren't a Rider fan, you are kind of the outcast. I've never felt like real prejudice against me. I've never been like shunned or felt like that way, but you always get the kind of weird feeling like people kind of look at you a little like, what's wrong with you?
I'd have to agree with him on this one. I remember a specific situation where my mother and I were going to buy an HD TV from Visions The salesperson tried to offer us Rider merchandise in order to sell the TV, where I replied, "I'm not a Rider fan." I couldn't help but smirk at the surprised look on his face.
I always kind of wonder if by me saying I'm not a Rough Rider fan, do people find that as sort of going against it's maybe too dramatic to say going against the values of Saskatchewan, but certainly not fitting in some way. If you say you don't cheer for the Riders, then people find that there's something suspicious about that you would be from Saskatchewan but not support the Riders.
So even through the scrutiny and the bewilderment, I remain not a Rider fan, and I will continue to live in Saskatchewan's no man's land.